Right, 22 October 2024, and today I'm going to be giving you yet another update of all the trending news in Africa and specifically in Zimbabwe. We have a very important week ahead of us. This is probably the most important week in Zimbabwean politics, and this will go down in history as the week in which everything changed. This week is very important for Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa is at a critical point in his presidency. This is the time when Mnangagwa is planning for his future, what is going to happen. And Mnangagwa has got a long-term goal of making sure that one of his sons takes over as the president of Zimbabwe. And I'm going to show you today what he is planning. What is Mnangagwa planning? Mnangagwa has got a serious plan, and that plan is in action right now. So what Mnangagwa has been doing over the past 2 years, so specifically over the past 2 years, is to prepare his sons for the military, for intelligence, and now for the presidency. So this is now becoming more and more clear, but the stumbling block has been Chiwenga. So Chiwenga has had a very powerful grip on the military, on the war veterans, and has generally been well respected within ZANU-PF. So what Mnangagwa has been doing specifically this year was to remove the base of Chiwenga so that Chiwenga is isolated. And Chiwenga is now totally isolated. As we speak, all the groups that support Chiwenga are now made up of less powerful people. He has removed, so Mnangagwa has removed all the powerful people that were surrounding and supporting Chiwenga. And you're going to see this week Mnangagwa making the first move on Chiwenga. And I am predicting that by the end of this week, which is by Sunday, the 7th, let's say the 27th. So that is Sunday, the 27th. You're going to see a very big move having been made on Chiwenga. And the game plan for Mnangagwa is to make sure that either Kuda or Collins, one of his sons, ends up eventually becoming the vice president with Sean in the military. And my sources reveal that Mnangagwa has been slowly replacing the leadership of key CIO divisions with his sons. So Mnangagwa has got multiple sons, and he's said to have replaced key leaders or managers or whatever they call them in CIO with his sons. And Mnangagwa now firmly has a grip on CIO, which means that Mnangagwa has a grip on the army in terms of Sean over there. He's got a grip on finance with Kuda in finance. He's got a grip on media with Collins controlling social media. Most of the social media platforms in Zimbabwe now under the control of Collins. He's got a grip on the Women's League with people that is put in Women's League. He's got a grip on war veterans with people that is put in the war veterans. All the commissions are under people that are under or Mnangagwa allies. All the judges are now under Mnangagwa. So you can see how wide-ranging Mnangagwa's plan has been. And what is left right now is only some factors or some players within the military who could disturb Mnangagwa's plans. So what has happened now is a total decimation of all Chiwenga's support base. Chiwenga's support base has been totally decimated. And I believe that within a short space of time, Chiwenga will be forced to resign. So remember, Mnangagwa cannot fire Chiwenga. So I want you guys to understand in the sense of he cannot come and say you're fired to Chiwenga. I think constitutionally that is not possible. To fire a vice president, there has to be a process. And I'm going to play for you a video that we did a few years back with Dr. Victor Kucherera, where we looked at the constitutional approach, what is required for a vice president to be fired. But you're going to see a move, and that move is going to be emphatic, and it has been well planned. The move against Chiwenga has been well planned and has been on the works. So a lot has been happening, and Mnangagwa has taken a process. He has been working through a process to see how he gets rid of Chiwenga. So let's look at what happened yesterday. Chiwenga met an Indian delegation, and I want you to observe what happened very carefully. Many people don't observe, and I want you to observe. So this picture I'm showing you is going to show you something. And let's start on the right side. On the right side, you're going to see Kuda standing over there. And then if you go further, you're going to see Opam Chinguri sitting over there. And then you're going to see the Indian ambassador and his wife, I suppose. That's his wife over there on the left. So the Indian ambassador is bringing a delegation of Indians for the second time. These Indian guys want to set up a college in Zimbabwe and a solar plant, or they want to sell solar panels. So this is not a serious meeting. However, the whole point was to bring Chiwenga out from wherever he was. Chiwenga was hiding. Chiwenga was keeping himself away from everything. So they brought him here. This delegation is in Zimbabwe for the second time, having been in here again on the 16th. So this is the second time that the Indian ambassador here is coming back to Munumutapa building. He's not coming to visit Chiwenga. He's coming to Munumutapa building because they want to set up a college in Harare. And they're coming from Malawi. They came to Zimbabwe, went to Malawi, and now they're going to go to Rwanda. So Chiwenga is just being brought out to put away all the speculation that Chiwenga has gone into hiding, and also to understand what he's planning. So they want to know what Chiwenga is thinking. That is why they brought him here. This meeting was not held in Chiwenga's office. It was held in a boardroom. So this is a boardroom at Munumutapa where Chiwenga was called. He's not in his usual environment. Chiwenga was not in control of the program. Chiwenga is no longer being allowed to control programs. So he is invited to things, but he can't control what is going on there, and he's not allowed to talk. So you're not going to see Chiwenga talking, especially on such an event. He's going to be shaking hands with people and you're doing all sorts of things, but he will not make a speech, he will not make a statement, and ZBC will not broadcast it. So if you go to ZBC, they only broadcast if Chiwenga is greeting someone or is introducing Mnangagwa. So they want to remove the influence that Chiwenga had. Chiwenga was very influential in the media. He had total control of Zim Papers. He had very close ties to guys in Zim Papers. And also, he had a lot of coverage within the ZTN. ZTN is part of Zim Papers. He also had a lot of coverage at ZBC, but that has stopped. You're not going to see Chiwenga getting coverage. So Chiwenga has been deplatformed. And remember what I said last year, that the Zimbabwe military has been deplatformed. They've removed their websites, they've removed their Twitter, they've removed their Facebook. And when you see the Zimbabwe military speaking, they are normally speaking at a function for a very specific purpose. So Chiwenga is not someone that is coming in as a vice president. The way that Mnangagwa is doing it is such that Chiwenga does not appear to be someone who's coming in as a president. He's not an incoming president. And that is because Chiwenga has got a plan. He's got a plan to put in one of his sons. And the biggest challenge that Mnangagwa is facing is that one of his sons, in fact, Collins, that he prefers to take charge, is not eloquent. So if you talk to Collins, and if you're watching this weekend, Owen Muda took Collins around. I think he took him to Midlands and he took him to Bulawayo. Collins does not have charisma. He's not able to captivate a crowd. So if you put him in front of a crowd, he freezes. He's unable to make a speech. He's not even able to make slogans. So other people have to assist him because he's been working from behind the scenes. So the person that is actually able to strategize lacks the charisma. And that puts Owen Muda at the front Owen Muda, when he talks, he alienates people and he makes people not like whatever he's talking about because he's very aggressive and he's got an almost childish approach to politics. So it's going to be very difficult for Collins, who is preferred by Mnangagwa, to take over as the vice president. And eventually that leaves Kuda. Kuda, although he is not experienced, he at least is able to address a crowd. He talks a lot in parliament and is able to influence some people, which is what Collins has failed to do. So my prediction here is that eventually your next vice president might end up being Kuda. Here, he is most likely to be the person that Mnangagwa is going to put as a vice president, because otherwise, if you put Collins, then it will be very difficult to get his message across. But Collins is going to play a very important part. Sean is already playing an important part in the Zimbabwe military. And as I said, 10 of Mnangagwa's sons who are in the Zimbabwe intelligence taking charge of divisions over there. And then obviously when it comes to the commissions, the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission under Mnangagwa's sister or cousin sister, something like that, they're very related. And then the lawyers, you've got Mnangagwa's daughter running Titan Law and also running all the newspapers through Trevor Ngube. So the husband of the daughter of Mnangagwa, she runs Titan Law, and the husband has bought all the newspapers that, you know, the Zimbabwe Independent, Newsday, the Standard, they now belong to the husband who paid 5 million to Trevor Ngube to buy those newspapers. So basically everything that you're seeing is now under Mnangagwa's control. Mnangagwa has totally taken over the environment. He has gripped everything and is ready. He is not going to allow Chiwenga to just walk in and take everything that he's worked so hard to produce and to create. So what can go wrong? That is very important for us to understand. What can go wrong? This whole thing can unravel because Mnangagwa has not anticipated what the army is going to do. And when I'm talking about the army, I'm talking about the section of the army that Mnangagwa does not control, which is the younger officers, the new officers that are professional. They do not want what is happening. And the only thing that these young officers lack is funding. So they lack money. That is why you've not seen any movement. But I believe that within the next 7 days, if Mnangagwa supports and goes for ED 2030, then we're going to see a move by a section of the military against Mnangagwa. But I do not know how it's going to happen. I do not claim to know, and I do not even want to pretend to know. But that is very important for you to understand that Mnangagwa has totally grabbed everything. Everything that you're looking at is now under the control of Mnangagwa. And Chiwenga has been outmaneuvered. There is no way that Chiwenga can come out of this one. And if they allow him to stay in this office, he eventually be taken out in another way, not in the way that I'm describing here, which is a resignation. So eventually, and the preferred approach is they're going to shepherd him until he either resigns or get out of office and put him under their control. But it's not preferable for Chiwenga to stay in the vice president's office. It's not preferable for Mnangagwa because that means he's always going to be a potential president. So for Mnangagwa, the game plan is to totally remove Chiwenga from any possibility of becoming a president. And you're going to see it. It's going to play out very, very soon. Chiwenga now surrounded and unable to maneuver without a base. That is what I believe has happened. There is t-shirts of Maboch Nomona which are circulating. And I think some of you have seen these t-shirts online, on Twitter. So I've seen those t-shirts circulating. What this implies is that there is an actual activity taking place right now, but it's not under the control of Chiwenga. If you see a Chiwenga t-shirt, if you see a Chiwenga slogan, a Chiwenga letter, it's not under the control of Chiwenga. Everything is going to be controlled from one side. But what you're going to see eventually is the removal of Chiwenga That is the game plan. And the replacement of Chiwenga with one of the sons of Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa doesn't want anyone who's not a Mnangagwa in that position of vice president. He wants one of the Mnangagwas sitting in the vice presidency. So mark that as an important thing that is going to happen. Either Kuda or Collins, but Collins will be an act of desperation because Collins is not able to articulate himself. When I was listening to him, it was clear to me that he's not able to stand in front of crowd and captivate a crowd and describe what's happening and describe what needs to be done. So it will be easy to remove. So someone like Collins, if he becomes let's say vice president, it will be hard for him to become the leader of the country. However, I think Kuda is capable of doing it. And I think most of the effort is going to go to Kuda in terms of the vice presidency. If what I'm saying here is in line with what is going to happen, you're going to see Kuda being elevated more and more in the next coming months. So that Kuda is probably going to end up as a vice president. And I don't know how ready he is to be the vice president. So I think we've covered that. I've talked too much here. This has been 15 minutes. Normally when you see me talking a long time about something, it's very complicated. But remember, we are in the middle of everything happening. So before I go to news, I want to obviously announce that we're working on the Gambakwe head office. And I'll say that guys who are going to contribute to this Gambakwe head office, you're going to be part owners of the building. We're going to build a building and you're going to part on that building with me. So I'm going to put out the plan and the form where you can make your pledges. We want to raise $200,000 and we probably have to raise a little bit more to get rid of some old partners. So that means about $300,000. That is what we need to raise. And I'm going to give details as we go forward. Now, let's go to the news, starting with Mozambique. Mozambique is burning. So Venancio Mondlane has managed to lead a successful protest yesterday, the first opposition leader in Southern Africa to defend the vote. Amazing stuff. And this follows the death of the lawyer of his party, Elvino Diaz, who was shot dead, 25 bullets pumped into his body by unknown assailants in Maputo, together with, I think, the Secretary General of the party. They were shot dead. SADC has issued a statement. So SADC Troika chairwoman or chairperson, Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania, president, has issued a statement calling for an investigation into the murder, and she has called for calm in Mozambique. However, SADC, a total mess under Mnangagwa. Do you realize that Mnangagwa has said nothing about this situation? Mnangagwa is not a chairman. Mnangagwa is such a problem. I cannot believe Mnangagwa is watching what is happening in Mozambique and doing nothing. As a chairman of SADC, this is where we want him to spring into action and come up with a plan. Mnangagwa has got no plan. This man is very bad for our region. So this is what has happened in Mozambique. And obviously, I'm talking to the guys in Podemos. And it's very important for you to understand what is going to happen. Mozambique is being stripped of the resources. And Frelimo has got no capacity to protect the country. Outside forces, banks, countries, billionaires are in Mozambique taking gold or gas. They are just ripping that country off. And they want the situation in Mozambique to continue. They don't want a proper president in Mozambique. The new president of Mozambique, Venancio Mondlane, if he had been allowed to take over, was going to transform Mozambique into one of the wealthiest countries because Mozambique is just full of wealth, the wealthiest country ever. And it goes for over ever and ever. If you're in Mozambique, you go for ever and ever. Land is there. Everything that you want is in Mozambique. You can put the whole of the world into Mozambique and they'll fit there and everyone will be full. However, this won't be allowed because a few characters are benefiting from Mozambique and they're going to continue benefiting from the situation over there. And the South Africans are at the top of the list. I've done a whole video on how the banks in South Africa are causing the situation in Mozambique to continue the way it is. So I'll replay that video tonight, where I'll show you which banks in South Africa have got interests over there, and which billionaires in South Africa have got interests. But that is not all. We've got a lot of people that are in Mozambique right now who don't want the country to do well. Now let's go to events. Mnangagwa met Dr. Anton here, Anton Malachak from Germany. They looked at steel, the steel plant at Malaysia. So let me tell you what the problem with Mnangagwa is. Mnangagwa does not know what to do. So if you ask Mnangagwa, what are we supposed to do to make Zimbabwe work? He doesn't know. When you've got steel, so like the steel that you have at Malaysia, you don't send it out. You take it and you build your country. So you build rail, you build plant cities, you build all those things that we're talking about. But Mnangagwa is only thinking about selling the raw steel. If the plans that I'm talking about here, plant cities and rail work or are implemented, you actually have to open Cisco Steel. You have to open other steel plants, because the steel demand in Zimbabwe is going to be so high over the next few years. Zimbabwe is ready for development, but Mnangagwa has got no plan and he won't do it. So he keeps meeting these guys and they tell him. So when you're watching what Dr. Anthony said, he said if proper policies are implemented, Zimbabwe needs someone that can lead, that is able, that is capable, and Mnangagwa is not that person. So you need a new president in Zimbabwe just for things to move. At the moment, those things are not moving. There's nothing moving in Zimbabwe. Then let me quickly look to South Africa. There has been a big and massive raid yesterday by the South African Revenue Authority, or SARS, South African Revenue Service. They've raided Alliance Fuel, which is an 8 billion rand business, and it also owns Agrifuels. This company has been mixing paraffin with the diesel, and the SARS has obtained a court order to stop Alliance Fuel and Agrifuels from operating, because all these billions that they have been making have been coming from blending paraffin and diesel using home paraffin. So they're supposed to use a certain different type of paraffin, but they were using paraffin which is meant for home. And that paraffin has got markers, a chemical marker, which differentiates it. So when you're importing the one with the marker, you don't pay duty. And if you import the one without the marker, you pay duty. So a marker, M-A-R-C-K-E-R, marker, a chemical marker. And so when this was discovered, SARS then went to shut down Alliance Fuel. They also shut down their plant in Makhado and another plant in Meyerton. So this is a massive thing, because this is the biggest wholesaler of diesel, and this businessman who owns here is a multi-billionaire. They've gone up against him in court and he lost. And we are going to watch here one of the biggest developments in the fuel industry. Basically, this is a massive thing, and I think it goes all the way. I suppose these guys also supply to Zimbabwe. Alliance Fuel, the biggest supplier, and so those two plants are now closed, and SARS is now inspecting to see what is happening over there. There's probably going to be a massive number of fines for Alliance Fuel and for Agrifuels. So that is a story to follow in South Africa. And then I want to look at the Gwanda master plan. I'm very interested. If you're in Gwanda, check out the Gwanda master plan. Mnangagwa has ordered all the councils to produce a master plan. The only thing that Mnangagwa has not done is to think broadly and to have a bigger vision. Zimbabwe is so behind. Everything in Zimbabwe is behind. So you need to rip off everything that is existing and create a new thing. You need to start building cities with no one inside them, and then occupy them with people. That is what we call a planned city. You need to put in place a rail, 3.5 hours to Bulawayo from Harare, 2 hours Bulawayo to Victoria Falls, fix the roads, and stop these little Mickey Mouse projects that Mnangagwa is doing. So Mnangagwa is not capable of doing it, and he won't do it. You will need a new president to do it. And unfortunately, that period, when we're talking about a new president coming to Zimbabwe, it's going to be extremely contentious. I'm anticipating a period of up to 2035 before there's massive change in Zimbabwe, which will enable us to go where we're going. But at the moment, what we're going to see is a big fight, and that fight is coming. This week, it's going to start, and they're going to see Mnangagwa attempting to put his sons into office. Then I want to go to the Chronicle newspaper, and this is the last newspaper I'm looking at here. So this is the late Chief Marupi, the youngest chief in Zimbabwe, and this is very sad. Chiefs from Matabele South have been left in shock and deep mourning after the untimely death of Chief Marupi of Gwanda. Chief Marupi died on Sunday evening at Health Point Hospital in Harare after a short illness. So this is very sad, and I don't want to say a lot now because this chief was robbed last week of a vehicle. People broke into his home and stole his new 4x4 vehicle. And I'll give more detail on what is happening here. I've seen speculation linking him to Chiwenga, and I don't think this is what we want to do now. I think we need to find out what's going on here, what caused the short illness, and what was the chief doing. Was he beaten up, or something happened during that robbery? So we need to find out here. I'm not seeing any information on what has happened to this chief and why he got that short illness. And he was only, if I'm not mistaken, 28 years old, the youngest chief in the whole of Zimbabwe, and also coming from Matabele. So we're going to hear more about the death of this chief, and this is a traditional chief in Matabele. So very sad situation developing over there, and I hope that this is not political, as people are now starting to say. So I want to end here, and as I said, we want to set up the Gambakwe head office, and this is going to happen. We're going to do it. And I'm going to be traveling to the United States of America for a few weeks. It can be extended, but I'm only going there for a few weeks, and we want to see how we can do better. We also want to work on homecoming, and I want all our people to come back home. If we're the proper leader, people will be back in our country. Our country is wealthy and the best country, most likely to become the first world country in this region. So what this means is that I'm not going to be broadcasting a schedule for at least the next 8 weeks. So our schedule is going to change. And the reason why our schedule is going to change is because I'm also going to be showing you what I'll be doing. So there'll be a lot of broadcasting. Our times are going to be different. Time zones are going to be different. And as I said, we are looking at starting to develop our head office, and you can own a part of it. So let's start working on it for the next 8 weeks. We're going to be very busy with this process so that everything works well. Mkoma Peter says, Gambakwe, how do you work on homecoming? Stop daydreaming. We'll do it, Mkoma. You are going to see by January the plans that we have. What exactly is behind? I don't know what you're talking about, Mkoma. Ask a question, I'll answer you. Ask it in full. The whole SADC is crying because of Mnangagwa, true. And we must never support a selfish leader, yes. And then Mnangagwa, he said he's the godfather of everything. If you plan against me, you know it. Yes, so let's say, for a small portion of the military. So your last hope, if they're caught, or if they're stopped, Wenga right now represents the last person that can actually remove Mnangagwa. If Chiwenga is stopped, no one else will be able to do it within a short step from. Otherwise, I'm going to have so much. So let me show you what appoint is done. So I don't know what is happening in my network. I see that I now look like someone from. So what has happened is Opam Chinguri over there. She has become so close to Mnangagwa. She's now chanting ED 2030. Mnangagwa is chanting ED 2030. The quality of my network. So I have to go. I'll see you again tonight. I'll try to come here tonight.